A rough day.
Hey, my friend Tana.
Hello. Good to see you, Latricia.
You as well, my other native Houstonian.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
Hello, Barb. Hello, Nettie. Lise. Aisha, I'm saying your name right because I always mess it up. So I want to make sure I say it right.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are saying it right. It's Aisha. Thank you.
Okay.
Family. It's Wanda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in another minute or so, just giving people a chance to sign on. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for our International Women's Day and National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day celebration, PWN Leading with Love.
Hello, Bob and Antoinetta.
Hi, Barbara. Hi, Wahida. Hi, Nana.
Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome,
Hey,
everyone.
Nana.
Hi, Wanda.
Happy International Women's Day, y'all. So great to have you all here. Yes, hello, everyone. We definitely want to thank everybody for joining us today. It is 15 years of Leading with Love, and as Barb has already uplifted, this is our event to honor International Women's Day and National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. As a person born with HIV, I'm excited about this day. I know HIV doesn't have ownership over me, but living and thriving this long as a woman living with HIV is a blessing, especially as someone who watched my mom pass from this disease. So I definitely want to thank everybody here. PWN is grateful to have you all here. And again, this is our 15 years of Leading with Love event where you'll meet some of our fierce leaders. And we'll also have an opportunity to lift up new members and the work that many of our members are doing in the community today. And Barb, would you want to help me with introducing the beautiful Latricia?
Yes. Thank you, Aisha. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Today, we're really looking to create space to build power, to love and support on our community, and to highlight where we are demanding and introducing leaders who have both been a part of the movement from the very beginning and some of our newer leaders today. So we have two panels. And I am incredibly honored to introduce Latricia Miles, who is one of our founders, our PWN board co-chair, and an amazing advocate to lead our first panel, which is going to be our origin stories. Latricia, are you ready to take it away?
I am. And can you hear me well? Okay, great. I don't know about you guys, but it's already too quiet for me. I am excited about today. I am excited and so proud of this organization. I'll say a little bit about it and then I'll get out of the way because this is about the panelists that are here, but Positive Women's Network. We envision a world where all self-identified women living with HIV can live long, healthy, and dignified lives, free from stigma and discrimination. Who are we? We are a national multiracial membership body led by women living with HIV. Can I get a hand clap for that? Come on, ladies, women living with HIV. We are running this thing, aren't we? I am so proud of this organization. And what I'm going to do is start with our first few questions here for our panelists, talking about the origins of HIV, the origins of Positive Women's Network. And for the panelists, the first question, how did you come into this organization? So how did you come into PWN? Anyone that wants to start? And ladies, before, I'm sorry, if you would introduce yourselves as you answer that first question.
So I'll start. I think it looks like I'm the only one that's not muted. Hi, everybody. Happy National Women and Girls HIV Awareness Day. Happy International Women and Girls International Women and Girls Day. My name is Wahida Shabazel. I'm here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm one of the founding members of Positive Women's Network. And back then it was called the U.S. Positive Women's Network, and now we're the Positive Women's Network of the U.S. So it's been a while. Back in 2008, I was invited. I heard about this event from J.D. Davids, that there was just going to be this convening that women living with HIV who were already doing work in their communities were going to have this convening, and that I should apply to go. I didn't know what was happening, but when I got there, I realized it was something that we were making herstory once I got there, because these were people, I was in the room with people I had only heard about. I heard about their work, the Vanessa Johnsons, the Pat Kellys, and Latricia Miles. We were all there together. It was 28 of us. They were Black, white. There were Native American women there. There were women with disabilities. There were women with hearing impairment. We were all there with 28 of us, and we kind of strategized for a couple of days how it could work, how we could make it work, that we want to make it work, right? We talked about having a pipeline of women leaders. We talked about having MIPA, meaningful involvement of women living with HIV. We talked about our needs being different and not being recognized. We talked about policies and programs that didn't fit the realities of our lives. And so we came up with I'm going to say a manifesto. We came up with some values that we would use to guide our work as we developed this organization by and for women living with HIV. And we came up with a set of values. And the first value that we came up with, I believe for me, that was dear to my heart, was self-identification, that we were women, we were all women, we were self-identified women, and that was empowering in itself to say. And even to this day, when I introduce myself, I tell people I come to this work as a woman living with HIV, not as a person who's HIV positive, but I come to this work as a woman living with HIV. I got that from PWN, and just being able to help develop those values. I'm going to pass it now because I know I'm going to get a chance to come back around, but I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm honored to be a founding member of what I think is the greatest organization of all times. They're going to read about us. It's going to be 500 years later. They're still going to be reading about the work that we did to end the HIV epidemic. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Cruz, aka Cookie. I am the co-chairperson for PWN Pennsylvania. Okay, I've been with PWN for 14 years, going to be now. I was, and let me tell you my story. When they came here to Philadelphia, Wahida was the one. They say, we need to have you there. Okay, and I was the first Latina woman they ever signed for PWN here in Philadelphia. Okay, and I am joy and happy to be here with y'all ladies. Okay,
Thank you.
and I need to show you. I got my shirt from PWN.
All right.
Okay.
Wearing my shirt too. Thank you so much, Cookie. We're going to take a little time to hear from our panelists, and then we welcome folks to introduce yourselves, please, in the chat, and let us know who all is here.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Cookie. And Rika, can you tell us how you came to know about PWN?
Absolutely. So Rika Rodriguez, I live in Denver, Colorado, was born in Texas, but been here in Colorado my whole life. Well, I came to PWN, all of you know this wonderful human being named Barb Cardell. I was about a year into my HIV diagnosis back in the early 90s, I want to say, maybe late 80s. And for those of you who know Barb, know that she has always worked in to empower our communities and to empower other humans in our communities, both HIV positive and HIV negative. But being that we shared this connection, she just continued, or they continued to really educate on who PWN is and what PWN does. And I really didn't show up, for maybe the first couple of years, but then in 2012, I really found myself yearning for connection with other positive women and needing to empower myself, like Barb had done. I had watched Barb for all these years and really admired all the work that they were doing. And so I was like, I need to venture into this. And I also, went to one of the convenings, the Speak Up Summit. And that was my first aha moment. Like, I was surrounded in a room full of people who looked like me and felt like me and talked like me. And I never saw these people in my own community. I never knew these people, back home. And so it was about 2012, I believe it was, when Barb kind of said, get your ass over here. So I listened. Since then, I have become a board member of the national organization, and I'm also a co-chair of the Colorado chapter. I think it's been about 3 years now. I have to say, honestly, joining PWN has been one of the most gratifying experiences in my life. It's been huge on my journey to educate myself, both personally and professionally. Now I really, really venture into the world of bringing other sisters into the movement. Those of transgender experience, non-binary, like I am beating the streets just searching for people, women who are HIV positive, so I can say, come on, I can be the Barb that pulled me in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rika, for sharing your story and the fact that you're reaching out to other women because a woman reached out to you. I'm going to take a little bit of moderator privilege and not ask Nana the same question. I want to ask her a different question, and that is why PWN was formed. And maybe what was going on at that time. What was the thought process that you had during that time? We're talking 15 years ago.
Yeah, thank you so much, Latricia, and thank you so much, Wahida and Rika, as well, for sharing. So I'm Nana Khanna, she or they pronouns, co-executive director of Positive Women's Network, calling in from occupied Ohlone land, also known as Oakland, California. And I'm very privileged and proud and honored to be one of the 28 founding members also that Wahida was referring to of PWN. And, the idea for Positive Women's Network, for a place and a space where women, trans, gender nonconforming folks could really come together and living with HIV could come together and share, our experiences, our lived expertise, what we were seeing as needs in our community. That idea had been around for a really long time, even before PWN was formed. So there are so many other leaders and giants on whose shoulders we stand as PWN, in addition to our 28 founding members who are amazing folks. There are the founders of Sister Love and Sister Songs like Dazon Dixon Diallo, and founders of Iris House and Smart University and the Well Project and World. I see we have Rebecca Dennison here, Susan Rodriguez, Pat Knowles from the Women's Collective, Linda Scruggs, Vanessa Johnson. There are so many folks who came before us and who are part of the legacy and the story of Positive Women's Network. And we knew, talking to each other, just sort of meeting each other at national conferences and in different types of spaces, that we were all doing our work by and for women and trans folks living with HIV, and often advocating in and with communities that are Black, Indigenous, and people of color without a lot of resources, without a lot of attention, and being structured out of policy and decision making. And so a lot of policies and programs were really not reflecting the reality of the lives of our constituency and our communities. So we were seeing, treatments that weren't being tested properly or researched properly in the bodies of people who are women or femmes or trans or gender nonconforming. We were seeing services and programs that didn't attend to childcare needs. We were seeing folks having violations of their reproductive health and rights related to HIV status, and that not being talked about anywhere. You know, when you talk about criminalization and the way that bodies are policed and criminalized, bodies of people living with HIV. Well, HIV criminalization builds on a long legacy also of policing and surveilling Black bodies, in particular, Black and Indigenous women's bodies in this country, and surveilling those. And, you know, HIV criminalization is just one more tool to do that. But a lot of these complexities and nuances were not really being adequately addressed. And so, so when we came together in 2008 to form Positive Women's Network as a really diverse group, as Wahida was saying, we were coming together as folks with lots of different kinds of expertise, and also with a lot of representation from the US South and from Black women in particular, who we wanted to make sure were uplifted as leaders in the epidemic, who had always been leading the way. And at that time there was a major election cycle going on. You might remember 2008, 2007 was like a big political moment. We were coming out of the, you know, trying to say goodbye to an administration that was really bad for our communities. An administration that pushed very punitive, really terrible policies that shredded the safety net, that like punished and criminalized Black and brown communities, that wouldn't talk about sex and was very like abstinence only. We were coming out of that administration, and the HIV community was saying, we need a better way. We need a national plan to address the HIV epidemic. But in all those conversations about having a national plan to address the domestic HIV epidemic, it was basically a call for a national HIV/AIDS strategy. There were no women living with HIV represented in those conversations. And so PWN was really formed in that moment, in that political moment, saying we need to make sure that our priorities are on the list. We're going to speak for ourselves. We're going to tell folks who are sitting in these little conference rooms in the Beltway, making decisions on behalf of us. We're going to make sure they understand what our priorities are, what's going on for our communities. And so we basically came together and, you know, formed and also wrote the first ever policy agenda that was authored completely by women and trans folks living with HIV. And at that time, we didn't really have Zoom. We had like conference calls and, you know, literally hours of conference calls that we spent together, dozens of hours of conference calls trying to co-write this document because we were all over the country and putting together, you know, putting our values into policy. So Wahida talked about us being really centered in values. That's where we always begin. We always begin with our values. And we said, what do our values mean about what we want to see from the government and what we deserve from the state and from decision makers? And so that's kind of what was going on at the time when we were formed.
Thank you so much, Nana. You covered a lot of ground and a lot of things that PWN is still working on. Economic justice, reproductive rights, criminalization, all of those things were happening back at that time. And, you know, the women of PWN just brought it to the forefront and said, look, we demand that we be heard. But Wahida, can you speak to, I mean, she named so many different areas that women are working in now and in the past. How did you decide, how did PWN decide what we could work on? What would be our priorities? What would be our focus? Can you talk a little bit to that?
Well, one thing PWN, I'm going to say this, our hierarchy structure, our organizational structure has always been horizontal. It's never been like there's one person at the top and then there's a bunch of little folks at the bottom. We've always started with our membership. And so we've always talked with our membership. We listen to Black women. We listen to people living with HIV. We listen to trans people, and we listen and we know. And so from listening to one another, we knew where people were, we knew where the trauma was coming from, we knew what people needed, what people were lacking, and that's how we decided what we would work on when it comes to policies. We do know that women bear the brunt of HIV around the world, but it wasn't being said. We were like an afterthought, like on the back burner. So we decided that in order to end, the only way we were going to end the HIV epidemic was to put women, to center women, and to have women's responses to the HIV epidemic. So we pretty much and we were, first of all, let me say this, we had a whole room full of smart people, some of the smartest women and cleverest women. We like to call them think tanks. So we had this amazing think tank of women. And like Nana said, we were on conference calls after conference calls. We were able to meet in person here and there, but we really listened and were able to articulate what our needs were. We
Yes.
learned to value ourselves. We learned that we were worth saving. Let me say that. PWN taught me as a woman living with HIV that I was worth saving, that I counted, that I mattered. Right. And so that is something that we extend to all of women living with HIV everywhere, that you matter, that you value, that what you say, we're listening to you. Right. And so we sort of like went from there, and we're able to look, and we even we graded the first national AIDS strategy that came out. We actually gave it an F. You know, we had a nerve to do a report card on the national AIDS strategy. I think we had big signs with the big report card with the big F's on it, because women weren't mentioned in research, women weren't mentioned in prevention, women weren't researched like in care. You know, and
The
so we
word
made
sexual and reproductive health did not even show up in strategy
right
anywhere.
So and so we made it clear. We went to the White House. We had a group of women who would actually go to the White House and give these presentations and show where we were not listed at. We were not going to remain invisible. We were not going to be invisibilized, and so we went from there. And I'm just so much stronger and confident since being in PWN. I mean, I thought I was the truth then, but once I got with all these women together, I knew there would never be any stopping us. There's no stopping me now. There's no stopping us now. So PWN has just breathed life into women living with HIV, not just in the United States, but around the world, who thought that that they had to live invisibly, that they had to live in silence, right? And one last thing I want to say is that we also told women that you didn't have to share your status if you did not want to be a part of this movement, right? That enough of us heard you, that we would create an echo chamber that would deliver the same messages from women everywhere, that we would that we would create an echo chamber of our demands and of our policy agenda. And it would include those who were not able to share their status for any reason. So it was a welcoming organization for women living with HIV, and it was for all self-identified women. It was the first time that had ever happened, that self-identified women had organized together. So we were some badasses.
Thank you, Wahida.
And we are some badasses.
Thank you, Wahida. We just heard from Wahida, the legend, didn't we? Thank you so much. And speaking to that inclusivity that PWN has, that was just beautiful. The impact, and I'll move to Rika, the impact that PWN has had or seeks to have, and you can personalize it if you want to. What is the impact that either PWN seeks to have or has had on you personally? So, I'd like to speak to that.
So I took notes, and I wrote notes last night before, because I need to prepare always. But for me personally, off the notes, I lived in silence with HIV up until 2018. And it was absolutely because of my sisters that I see living in their truth and living openly with their status. I have to give my partner much credit for, his piece of it too, because, without him, I wouldn't have made the decision to be out about my status. I was diagnosed in 1989, so that was a long time of living in the closet and in the shadows and worrying about what people thought about me and what they felt. And in 2018, I took that first step and made a public post, and ever since, it's just been huge for me. It feels like a huge weight has been lifted off of my shoulders. And it has helped me to empower other people, like I mentioned before. And then going back to my notes, I absolutely feel like empowerment is the goal, and leadership building, which includes sisterhood and solidarity. As positive women, we are credible messengers, and we need to be at all these decision-making tables, no matter what they look like. If they're judicial, if they're government, if they're local city, we need to be at those tables, and our voices need to be heard. At PWN, we really pride ourselves in walking alongside of our sisters, both locally and nationally, to continuously support each other, to build power and to ensure that we are at those tables, that our voices are heard, and that no sister is left behind in the name of productive change for HIV positive women, no matter how they identify.
Thank you, Rika. The first time that I heard that table analogy was from a PWN woman, and you guys correct me if I say it wrong, but she said, if you're not at the table, you're what? On the menu. And that means you're on your way out of there, right? And so we have been determined. We have been determined since the inception, since the founding of PWN, that we would be at the table no matter where we are. And that is from state to state. And so when you even go on the PWN website, you are able to see PWN women in action in different areas of the state. And I did not mention that I am also a founding member of Positive Women's Network, one of the 28, and I am the co-chair of our board of directors. Powerful women on this panel. Where do you envision, and this is just a question that I was thinking of last night about the future of PWN, where do you envision that we will be in the next year, 5 years? If you had to just think outside of what we've already accomplished, which is so much, where do you see us going over the next 5 years? Anyone?
You know, back in 2010, when we went to the International AIDS Conference and got one of our members to be a plenary speaker, speaking to world leaders about women's rights, how they were human rights, and achieving women and consciously regarding women's rights. I thought that we had reached the pinnacle. I believe that what we do, world leaders need to hear from women, because there are women in places who will never have a voice, right? Because they're hushed, they're silenced. But I believe that all these young, beautiful women that I see who have become a part of this movement, that we continue to elevate them, that we continue to support them so that they can have their voices out there as young women, demanding their right to parent, demanding their right for reproductive justice. I believe that's a place for us to go, and also to elevate and highlight our sisters of trans experience so that they are able to let world leaders know, right, that these are the things that we can have, that we can all have access to the human experience, because we've been denied a human experience because they've made us be second-class citizens. So I see PWN as USPWN as being more global, and having our voices at international AIDS conferences, and with the younger generation of women, because I'll be turning 70 next year, and I'll probably be forgetting what to say. But so y'all listen to what I'm saying, so y'all can go back and say it. And it is possible for you all to have a voice anywhere and be supported. I have never, ever felt so supported as I have with this organization. No matter what I do, no matter what organization I work with, you all have been resources to me. I can always go back and back to you all as resources. We continue to work together, even though some of us have gone to other organizations. We've always would be a part of this organization. So I would think
right.
that the younger ones who are here now are going to be those ones who we're going to promote and elevate their leadership. You know, yeah, because they just have a different kind of swag than than people my age. You know what I'm saying? But to talk about and yeah, I'll talk about that later. But I'll just that's where I see us becoming more visible on a global level because they know us in the United States,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But I think that
Yeah.
they need to hear from us again and again and again, and we don't stop delivering our messages of that we want equity, that we're creating equity. We don't stop creating equity until we get that equity, right? And gender justice. We don't stop until we have gender justice. And so I see us continuing to do that and to elevate our priorities and to elevate those priorities through the younger generation. That's what I see the next year, next month, next week, tomorrow.
I
But
love
yeah,
that so
thank
much.
you.
Yeah, I'd love to speak to this also, just like building off what Wahida said, which I think was so powerful. So, you know, our focus has always been to build power for our people because we're clear that women and trans folks living with HIV are the reason that we're suffering is not. It's not HIV. It's all these other systems and structures of violence that are oppressing our people, from racism to transphobia, homophobia, you know, racist drug policies, policing practices, surveillance, the broken healthcare system, attacks on our reproductive freedoms, attacks on people even being able to like safely express who they are for our trans and gender nonconforming siblings. You know, there are so many different ways that our communities are in harm's way. And so we believe that because women and trans folks living with HIV are majority in the US, Black, Indigenous, Latinx, majority low income, majority living at the intersection of so many different forms of systemic violence, if we can lift up our people, we lift up everybody, right? So when Black women, cis and trans are free, everybody will be free. And so that's our theory of change. And that's why our tactics and our strategies are about building leadership, building power from the ground up. We believe that our communities are brilliant. We believe that the solutions are already in our people. So our job is to support, nurture, develop leaders, to support folks in organizing, strategic organizing, issue-based and electoral organizing. So we organize on issues and we also organize on elections because we understand that we have to change the policies, we have to change the issues, and we also have to change who's making decisions in order to win long-term power. And then we also do policy advocacy work, which is not the same thing as organizing. Organizing is when we build a base of people who are working together to identify problems and identify solutions collectively. Policy advocacy is the work we do to like advocate or move solutions, which is different from organizing. And then the other main tactic we use is narrative change. And that means we're changing the stories. We're changing the stories. Who's telling the stories? What are the stories that are being told about us, about our communities, about what the problems are? So the problem isn't, you know, the problem isn't that we need like a border. The problem is our policies that are like harming people in other countries that are like causing the conditions where they need to cross the border. So really changing the way we think about the stories and identify problems. And like Wahida was saying, you know, this idea that women living with HIV are often asked to share our stories in ways that are really just about trauma porn, that are really just like asking us to, you know, like talk about all the things we did wrong so nobody else will go do them. Well, this is not about anybody individually holding responsibility. This is about systems and structures and institutions that are actually placing our communities in harm's way systemically. So that's what we're here to change. And so So where I see us going is really continuing to build long-term power like that, especially at a localized level, to continue moving an intersectional agenda. When I say an intersectional agenda, I mean that we don't just work on HIV policy, because we understand that housing and SNAP benefits and drug policies and how people who do sex work are criminalized and how our trans family are treated. All of those things are things that we have to change. We do need, like curriculum and education that really looks at the role of race in this country in order to be able to understand. So we work upstream to like change all of those conditions that are impacting our folks. And because we have Wahida and Rika on here, who are both really involved in chapters, I'm wondering if we could hear a little bit from them also about what's happening at our chapter level. I think, to me, that's one of the ways forward of the future is thinking about how we build localized power together in our communities, in partnerships and alliances with other communities that are fighting similar struggles to ours. So
yes,
yeah.
Nana, you read my mind. That's why I was going with my next question, because what came to mind is a quote that I heard the other day is, when you educate a man, you educate an individual. But when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And so how are we reaching out through PWN, those tentacles that are going out to the women in those chapters? And I know, Wahida, you are the instrumental in working with those chapters.
I was fired up when I came back from San Francisco in 2008 after our convening. And I came back to Philadelphia and I grabbed Maria Cookie and I grabbed Teresa and I'm like, look, we got to do this. We have got to get this chapter together because we have to empower women living with HIV. We have to be a part of every part. I talked about the Denver principles. We have to be a part of everything that happens when has to do with women living with HIV. We have to have a voice. And so it was just a few of us, wasn't a lot of us. We actually got a trifold poster board and said, we're going to put our faces on here. We're going to be PWN. It was PWN Philadelphia. Then we were just doing regional. We were doing like local, but now it's PWN Pennsylvania, because now we've organized our women regionally. And some women would not put their faces. That's okay. We're going to give you a star. Put your name on a star. You don't have to put your face. And so we began to do that. And this chapter has always stayed together and it has grown. And we have become a part of other organizations within our region. And wherever something is happening in our region, PWN Pennsylvania is always consulted, is always called upon. Nothing about us is happening without us in the state of Pennsylvania. So we're involved in electoral organizing. We're getting the vote out. In fact, PWN Pennsylvania is doing their own community event on Saturday, commemorating National Women and Girls HIV Awareness Day, hoping to recruit more women into our chapter. We have much diversity within the local organization. Actually created spaces for people in PWN Pennsylvania. We created a position for our trans coordinator. We created a position for our white women coordinator. We created a position for our Latinx community coordinator. We create positions for people because to uplift the leadership that all of us have in us, and it's so important that and then now with technology, it's so much easier than it was back then. But we started with simply let's teach each other how to make a conference call. It was like 1, 2, 3 ABC, right? Because there's something about HIV that takes so much from us. When we get that diagnosis, it takes so much from us that we had to like kind of bring women together and say, we could do this conference call. It was so simple, but we organized that. It was just some lemonade and some cookies and a conference room with a conference phone. And it's your turn. You dial a number this time. You push the passcode in. We went very, very basic, simply. And even though we weren't a support group, we were supportive of each other in a lot of other ways. and people want to know who we were. Who are those women wearing those red buttons? Who are those women doing this and doing that and the other? And we supported our Philadelphia. We have a large trans community in Philadelphia, and we have a lot of we have a lot of women in Philadelphia who have crowns and who have like crowns for different pride crowns and things like that. We actually went to the Atlantic City and walked the Miss America stage with one of our trans women who joined PWN. We walked the Miss America stage for her. She had to give her crown away, but we actually walked the stage with her with the PWN banner. And so just being supportive of each other and recognizing that our diversity is our strength. And so and so is the local. From the local, we go to the regional. From the regional, we go to the national. From the national, we go to the international. And when we be what they call, we're going to be a multi-planet people. What do they call it? We going other places. We taking that there too, right? Because inequality is something that just goes, something about that inequality. We have to like keep making sure that we build an equity, even if we're off planet. So so it starts at the local. It starts with just and when we move at the speed of trust. Let me say that we move at the speed of trust. Sometimes we don't always understand what it is where we're going, but we know that if we go together, right, that we can get a little further. We can get a little further, and so that's what we kind of like did in the region. One of the regions that I helped organize, and then I was the actual organizing director for several years, and I think that I helped pull together over a dozen chapters, but talking particularly about the one in Philadelphia, which was the first, and then Colorado was second. I'm doing that to Barb and Rika. Colorado was second. Yeah, but that's how we all started. It just takes a spark, and then you just flame it in that spark, and you just don't stop until people see that there's a need for us to be there, and they see changes being made because of us being there, So, yes.
Thank you, Wahida. And yes, you were the organizing director there for the chapters and did an amazing job. In our closing question, because we have just a few minutes left, and I don't know if Rika, if you'd like to speak to what have you seen change as a result of PWN's work? Or you can make it a little specific to your own chapter. But as a result, what have you seen change as a result of
Oh man, I've seen a lot of change. I've already expressed within myself, but the language and legislative and in the legislature and the laws in Colorado, Barb was instrumental on getting that changed. The Mod Squad was instrumental on really fighting back and showing why the language was so harmful to people who are living with HIV, and actually impacting the change. I think that was so huge locally. I know a lot of other states nationally have been working on something similar, and other states have actually implemented those changes. So I think, justice is prevailing as long as we're providing the justice. And I think what has changed for PWN as a whole, just the numbers. We're massive now. I could remember, constantly seeing maybe, two handfuls of the same faces. Now I see so many new faces. I don't know who they are. I'm like, I got to get to know you. Yeah. And the change with COVID, has kept us apart, but I have the feeling we're going to get together sometime real soon.
Yes, thank you, Rika. Well, we are out of time. However, if the other two panelists have a couple of words to say about what they have seen change, I want to give you an opportunity to do that before we transition. Nana or Wahida, is there
I'm just going to say that what I have found about this organization is that we also hold ourselves accountable. We hold ourselves accountable to working at those intersections. It's not just HIV, it's clean water, it's safe neighborhoods. It goes beyond HIV, but I've seen us hold ourselves accountable to fighting racism and fighting classism and transphobias. I've even seen us hold ourselves accountable to learn how to identify our trauma as Black women and to create spaces where we heal. We have a subgroup of PWN that's called the Black Women's Healing Justice. We've made space for that. We've made space. We've challenged our sisters who are white to help us dismantle the racism. And they've taken that to heart, and they've done have really challenged themselves to make sure that they're stepping up and stepping back and stepping forward and educating their own race of people who may not understand that maybe they need to step back. They've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've challenged them. We've challenged ourselves. So this is not just about challenging the external. We also challenge ourselves internally, and it builds integrity.
Yes.
It builds integrity, and it builds real friendships and a real sisterhood when we can really, sometimes we have to make somebody uncomfortable in order for us to be comfortable, right? We've learned that too. And so, yeah, and so it's just been, I've been such, oh goodness. I wish I could, I could just almost tear up. This organization is totally amazing. If you're a woman living with HIV and you are not connected with another woman living with HIV, this HIV is not something that we do by ourselves. HIV is something we have to do together, right?
Yes.
And we need you, and we need your voice, we need your ideas, we need your heart. We need you here to let us hold your heart and hold you up and empower you. And you will see a whole different quality of life. PWN has changed my quality of life about what I thought that I could get, what I thought I was worth. And today I know my worth because of Positive Women's Network.
Thank you so much. This amazing panel, Wahida, the legend, Nana, our executive director, and Rika, our board member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you. And I'm going to transition it back to Barb and Antoinette.
Yes, okay. So Aisha, you ready to introduce the next panelist?
Yes, thank you. So I actually won't be introducing the panelists, but I will be introducing the moderator, which is a sister to me. And I absolutely love Antoinette. And I'm so happy to have her as part of the PWN family, as our national field organizer. And I mean, this is the mother of the Dandelions movement, a movement that centers me, people like us that were born with HIV, and yes, all your goodness. So I'm happy to have Antoinette here and moderating this next panel. And I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Aisha. Hey, y'all. Hey. So let's get the panelists on in the room. I'm so happy to be moderating this panel with such fierce leaders. I wanted to thank Latricia for leading such a powerful panel with only a few of our founding mamas and our leaders, Wahida, Rika, Nana. I truly appreciate you, and you shared such meaningful and heartfelt stories that truly shaped the reason why I do this work, why I have such a long commitment to PWN, and I continue to engage more folks into PWN and make sure that they know that we are here, we are unstoppable, and we're just like a powerful source of inspiration. So I want to welcome to the stage. Let's get a drum roll going, put some hearts in the chat. Go ahead and go off with the emojis if you need to for our second panel. We have Melanie Reese, we have Rimsky Evans, and we have Ariana Ray. Yes, blow up the chat, y'all. Blow it up. Put some hearts in there. Shout them out. Give them some woo-woo, because this panel is going to be lit, okay? So if you are a part of Sister Circle, which everybody is, and you receive the emails that I send out, I usually put some inspirational quotes in there. So the quote of this week is from Madam C.J. Walker. It talks about, I got my start by giving myself a start. I'm not ashamed of my past, and I'm not ashamed of my humble beginnings. So that really, really shapes our conversation today and how we all got introduced to PWN, where we plan on going thanks to PWN and all the blessings and everything that PWN has gifted us with, the connections, the networks, and really where we truly, where we plan on taking our leadership and our advocacy journey. So as I ask this first question, I ask that my panel introduce yourself, share your name, your pronouns, and how long you have been connected to PWN. So let's start with Rimsky.
Well, hello, everybody. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm just so excited about this. But my name is Rimsky Evans. My pronouns is she and her. I'm the state lead for Mississippi. And yeah, when I got here, I've been here, oh my goodness. It probably been no more than four years that I've been connected to Positive Women Network.
And we're gonna pass it to Ariana.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ariana Ray, she, her, hers. I've been along with PWN. I may be the newbie on the call, but it's maybe like a year or two now. And the sisterhood that I have gained with being a part of PWN is one that is lasting and very meaningful. I was brought in by Alicia Diggs, and she introduced me to Barb Cardell. Barb, of course, everybody's cheerleader, helped me to become a new trainer in PWN's, the Gender Justice Program, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful.
Yes, we love us some Barb. We love you, Barb. Yeah. And Melanie, if you can introduce yourself, name, pronouns, and how you got introduced to PWN.
My name is Melanie Reese from Baltimore, Maryland. HIV has been occupying my space for 24 years. My pronouns are she, her, accomplice. And I got introduced to PWN in, I believe it was 2009 at AIDS Watch. I saw all these ladies running around with papers and pens and saying, coming up to women. And that really shocked me because I knew women were HIV positive, but all the talk was about the LGBTQ community or MSM, same gender loving. And I didn't hear any talk about women. And I couldn't wait to put my name and information on that white piece of paper because I saw myself and someone else, and we're thinking the same thing. We've got to uplift women. We have to empower women. And we've got to tell other people that we've been here from the beginning. We didn't just show up last week, and that we have to fight to get what it is that we need for us to live healthy, to live with dignity, and be supported with the services and structures that existed. And so that's when I signed up. I didn't plug in until like 3 or 4 years ago. And because to me, distance, I didn't think like-minded people could be connected. Going to the summits or going here, I did not have the disposable income to travel. So COVID happened. And COVID, Zoom, remote access. So I've been running and fighting and shouting ever since.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Rimsky, I don't think we heard how you got involved with PWN, if you want to double back.
Yes, I want to share that. Um, Before I came into PWN, of course, I'm in Mississippi. I was diagnosed with HIV and I was really lost and broken. And as I went looking for support groups, there was no support groups here in Mississippi that was focused on women. So I began to reach out to people and talk to them about that. And so I had a good friend that was working in the HIV field at the time, and he said, "Hey, have you ever checked out Positive Women Network?" And so that's when I went online and I did some research and read about you all, and then reached out so that I could be a part. I signed up online to even get emails, newsletters, because I felt like now I found somewhere. Although I had to go outside of Mississippi, I still found somewhere that was a safe place for me because I was really looking for that. And so, yeah, today, because of that movement, I'm thriving, and I'm so thankful for PWN because you all became my lifeline. I was looking for life support, and you all became my life support.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. At some point, we all got plugged in and got electric shock, like Melanie said, and it just jump started our commitment to this work. So I appreciate you all sharing how PWN just electrocuted us, like it sparked something in us. So I would love to hear how has PWN supported your leadership journeys? And I know you all do such great and amazing work. So I would love to hear how we have supported you along that time.
When I first got involved with Positive Women Network and I started coming to those, we would have the support groups and the meetings that you all would have. It was a lot of training. And I was really thirsty because by that time I had saw so many faces like Vanita Ray, Bob, Nana, why they had these powerful voices, and I was like, man, I want to be just like these women. I want to be able to use my voice and become an advocate because I didn't know anything about advocacy work, even though I had advocacy in my heart. I didn't know a lot about advocacy work and how to actually do it. And so after that, there was a lot of trainings and things that was going on. So I got involved because I knew I wanted to grow as a leader, as an advocate, and know more of how to get women engaged. Because one of the biggest struggles that I was having as I began to get into work and build my confidence through the trainings and through the engagement that Positive Women Positive Women Network offered, I began to try to reach out. And so I began to try to get women engaged. And so it helped me and supported me when they gave me the materials. They provided me one-on-one mentorship. They provided training. And that was what I needed. I needed that. And that alone empowered me so that I can go into my community and reach women and empower them.
How did PWN support and build my capacity? I had done leadership work outside of PWN. Um, I was chair of a advocacy group in Maryland called LifeLink of Maryland, and we had some fantastic grassroots uh, um, community organizers who were helping us to develop as an advocacy group. Um, we started in Baltimore City and then we expanded to Baltimore County and then the other surrounding counties, um, doing work to amplify and uplift HIV to be a regular conversation and not just on awareness days. And so I already had that in me. But when I got connected to PWN, the trainings that they provide amplified and elevated the training I had already received and gave me the courage to speak boldly and loudly in many arenas outside the HIV arena, because if we don't impact the outside of HIV arenas, we're never going to get to the end of HIV. So PWN embraced me, lifted me up, supported me, and gave me little nudges to move forward and upward to do the work that I do. I know that we need to be at tables, decision-making tables. Now, I never had a problem. I would dare people to tell me to get away from their table. They needed to hear me, whether it was a research conference, scientists mulling over the next cure, whatever. I dared them to tell me to get out because I don't belong. So PWN helped me to continue that work and to expand it. Um, I've been at tables where people say, HIV is still a thing. I thought HIV, only men got it. Well, those were spaces where education was necessary. And PWN, I'm always learning something new. Now my big thing, Deidre Speaks says I'm the word police, because people first language matters. And not only do we have to teach other people how to speak to us or speak with us, we have to teach ourselves how to speak about us. We have to lift ourselves up and stop using stigmatizing, dehumanizing language. And I got all of that from PWN. And demanding better. We are no longer asking, we are demanding. We have to demand our rights. And I carried that document. Barb and I were at an ANAC conference at a listening session with government people, and we had our demanding better. And we were opening the pages and telling them, you need this in your work that you're doing. You have to listen to us. We're demanding this. And I just can't say enough about PWN. Because of PWN, I'm part of the Texas Strike Force. I'm part of the Rapid Response Team. I wherever somebody is living with HIV, I feel with what PWN has given me, I can be there to support them, because it's not just in the area where you live, it's everywhere. And I'll give somebody else a chance to talk.
Thank you, Melanie, for sharing. Ariana, so I would love to hear from you. The question was, how has PWN supported your advocacy journey?
How is PWN? It is supported in many ways. It began, of course, with the Gender Justice Program. And it was a little uncomfortable at first because this is all new to me. This is all very, very new. But again, I had one of the biggest and best cheerleaders in the world pushing me, telling me to step outside my uncomfortability and do this. And I did. And I did. And the more uncomfortable it was, the more rewarding it was once I finished and once I got through it. And the final project I had, she set a guideline. She said, just do it one day at a time. Just do it this, just do that. By the time she checked back, I had already done the whole project and did above and beyond what she had ever thought I would be doing. She and many others within the program have they check on me to make sure, look, do you need anything? Do you need this? Do you need that? They've given me tools to use to go out into the community and say, look, this is what HIV is. It's not what you think. This is what it really is. And this is coming from somebody who has that lived experience and who's doing the work that is entailed now. And I mean, it is pushing me forward to do many other things in the community for every community that I'm a part of, whether it's being a woman with HIV, a trans woman with HIV, a Black woman with HIV, a U.S. Army veteran with HIV. Every community the PWN is giving me something that I can take back and build and help each community that I'm a part of.
Yes, come on now, communities, come on, embracing all. I see the chat is going crazy, but we're not going to focus on that. I wanted
would
to
like to say something. Ariana, I would never have known you were this new, because when you were part of I'm part of the Several Projects Social Justice Institute, I was blown away. I did not know until today that you were just that
I
young.
actually just graduated from the
That
gender
young.
justice
Oh,
program.
you are fabulous. I learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is so powerful. So yes, we all coming in at different times, whether it's 1 year, 4 years, 10 years, or even you rocking with the 15 years strong. We are doing the work, and that's what's most important. And something that was said was like, if you are comfortable, then you're not doing the work. You got to get uncomfortable to know you really making change. So I can go on and on about the reasons why I'm so proud of everybody who is on this call and the panelists that we see before us. But I would really love to hear from y'all and know, like, what are you most proud of in your advocacy journey? What have you accomplished? What are you planning on accomplishing? What have you inspired somebody else to accomplish? Like, what are some things that you are most proud of? And I will,
Go ahead.
Melanie, you can go first. No,
Okay.
go ahead.
I'm part of the Maryland Coalition to Decriminalize HIV. And I have been able to convince other people to realize the tremendous harm that HIV criminalization laws have on persons, and that it causes them to, one, not want to know their status or get tested, not want to disclose their status, want to hide in plain sight, but not let anybody know what their health status is, and being afraid to reach for or ask for help because of the trust issue that was mentioned by Wahida. And so the coalition, last year, a bill to repeal was introduced. And then there was rumbling that MCASA, which is the Maryland Coalition Against Sexual Assault, was going to uh, not support it. So the bill author removed it. This year, we got a freshman House delegate to sponsor the repeal bill again, and it has now passed the House and is ready for a hearing in the Senate. And Maryland, mostly known as a blue state, now has a Democratic trifecta: the governor and the leaders of both the president of the Senate and the House Speaker. This could be the time we've been working for to get rid of that HIV criminalization law in Maryland. And I am very proud to be a part. And PWN has supported me in doing the work that I do. And it's just something that I've always wanted to happen, but never thought it could because nobody wanted to poke the bear because you could open up a Pandora's box and get something worse. But I realized that the people who didn't want to poke the bear weren't HIV positive. So I knew I had to step up and open up and fight for to get rid of that awful, dehumanizing, harming law. So that's what I'm most proud of.
Thank you for sharing. Rimsky, would you like to share?
I want to say that I am most proud of as Positive Women Network provided a space for me to grow because it was a lot of growing that I needed and building confidence. I'm so proud that I've been able to be invited now to the table, having opportunities to be at the table um, with coalitions, given my expertise now that I have learned and grown from the knowledge that has been taught to me through Positive Women Network, being able to be invited in the spaces of now we are restarting a new HIV planning council and Black women finna be included. I'm excited and proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that um, because of the advocacy work that I'm doing now and focusing on women and just people living with HIV, I've been also having an opportunity to be on advisory boards with the Mississippi Center for Justice as they have even formed a coalition. And we all just coming together to um, redo a bill that we actually had to kill to start over in Mississippi. And now we are working with other entities and get this get these laws changed here in Mississippi as we a lot of people know that we are dealing with a lot in Mississippi when it comes to bills that are being formed and laws that need to be changed. But I'm so even more proud of the fact that because I decided to come out of isolation, let my voice be heard, more women across Mississippi is hearing from a Black woman and now coming out of silence and reaching out and wanting to help and support in whatever way they can. That's like one of the most biggest thing that I'm proud of because it was hard in the beginning trying to get women engaged because a lot of women was living in silence. But when they saw that there was somebody that was willing to share their story with the world, with Mississippi, because I pretty much became the face because there was no Black woman being represented, even in um, advertisement and all that to educate and inform people in Mississippi.
Thank you so much for sharing, Rimsky. I'm over here like I gotta keep myself on mute because I be like, yes, yes, to all of y'all with my seasoned soul. Ariana, I would love to hear from you.
What I'm most proud of is, well, there's so much. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, PWN is giving me my confidence. It really has. It's given me a little oomph to go out into the community and educate, not go out and scream at everybody who thinks I'm wrong for being here, but go out and educate people and challenge them to think and challenge their old way of thinking. It's given me it's given me a sisterhood. You know, if I falter on something or I need some advice on something, I can definitely like email Barb or talk to another trainer, Tiami, or I can talk to a number of different people and get the advice that I need, or the boost that I need to go out and say, hey, all right, let's get this taken care of. Let's start doing this. Now, North Carolina is pretty when it comes to HIV laws and trans laws and things of that nature. And that's only because of the work that has been done already. But there's still more to do. And now that I'm a trainer and now that I'm a part of PWN, I'm ready to strap on my boots and do the work.
I loved what you all said. Heard that folks are proud of their sisterhood, of the connections that they made, of the opportunities to be in leadership positions, on coalitions, on boards, proud of making change on a local and federal level. Like, these are all things that we all are proud of. We are rooting for each other. We are unstoppable. I love hearing these things. And the next question is about like the future. So what's next? Like, what can we get ready for? What's next for you as a leader? Or what is something that you want to see come out of this work that you are putting in and you are grinding, you are hustling? So tell us, what's next? Let's start with Ari. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so
No, go ahead.
okay, because I'm so excited. I'm excited about the next. I'm excited about the next because now I have an opportunity to get women on board in Mississippi. Um, the organization that I work for, because of my heart and my passion for women in general, trans women, cisgender women, my heart and passion. Now we have created a program that is effective for women, and it's called Care for Women. Um, this program is going to open up many doors for me to reach women, to get them engaged, because the women that we're going to be servicing are women living with HIV. We're going to be providing transportation, childcare. I mean, so many different things that my heart has just been the things that I knew that women needed, but now even more, I can connect with more women that'll be being they'll be actually even newly diagnosed will be actually sent to us, and I will be able to have firsthand and getting them engaged and linking to care and standing in care, and also being able to bring them on board to hopefully have a chapter next.
Awesome. Thank you, Rimsky. I'm over here shouting. Ariana, would you like to go next? Or Melanie, I see that you unmuted.
Yes. I have not had much traction in Maryland to build a PWN chapter. So I would like assistance to do a Maryland, District of Columbia, and Virginia chapter of PWN. That will increase numbers. We're so connected in distance wise that the purpose of it would be far reaching. I also want us to consider PWN supporting women running for elected offices, either locally or statewide or national. We need a woman director of ONAP, the office on ONAP. Let's see,
Office of National AIDS Policy.
Yes.
Office of National AIDS Policy.
Well, excuse me, I'm 70 and sometimes I can see it, but it won't come out my mouth. We need a woman. A woman, when they're in an administrative position, won't let that stop them from saying what needs to be said and getting done what needs to be done. We have a friend, Harold Phillips, in that position now, but he will only go so far. He doesn't talk about molecular HIV surveillance and how harmful and dehumanizing it is, and that we had demanded that the pause be put on that, so the persons impacted can be informed that this is what's going to happen. What they do, people go in for regular labs. We need to know what our viral loads are, if we're undetectable and all that. But there's residual blood left that goes to repositories. That's what they use for HIV surveillance. You agreed to have that lab work done, but you didn't agree to have surveillance done. And CDC, ooh, to take money from CDC to do prevention work, you have to do surveillance work. And that requirement needs to be thrown out, dismantled, because it is harmful, very, very harmful. And if a woman were in Harold Phillips' position, that wouldn't have been, that would have been stopped. That would have been stopped. I know it. I know it. And the work that we need to do to end the HIV epidemic, it's going to be us, women. And PWN has the capacity and the, Wahida talked about it, the horizontal, I like to think of it as circular, where everybody can be seen from every part of the leadership. Circular. That's how the whole women's group advances. And that's what I see for the future of PWN.
Thank you for answering that, Melanie. You dropped some jewels. You dropped some jewels. And we ain't gonna do no Harold shade here, okay? Harold be trying. He be trying to support us in our movement. So we're not gonna shade him, and we appreciate his leadership and partnership with PWN. But yes, we understand that those things are super important to our livelihood and the work. And we should very much so be aware of MHS and how that is affecting our lives. So I appreciate you for coming through, always coming through with those jewels and those gems and making sure that folks are aware that this stuff is happening. So thank you for sharing that, Melanie. Thank you so much. Ariana, the last one, would you love to share what
is next? What's next is basically training. Got to get more education so I can educate the masses as well. As it was said earlier, you educate a man, you educate an individual. But you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And that's one thing that I want to do, is I want to be able to educate more the masses, as much of the masses as possible, so we can get the word out that this is not what they said it was all these years. HIV is not what they said it was. It is actually something different, and this is the way it is. And take it through every medium, to every community, and every place that I set roots.
Did y'all hear that quote? If you educate a man, no shade, but if you educate a man, you educate an individual. And if you educate women, you educate a whole nation. Mic drop. That's it. Just shut the whole conversation down. We just gonna leave it right there. I want to say I appreciate Ariana, Rimsky, and Melanie for coming on and sharing how PWN has supported you, but know how y'all have supported us. And we continue to do the work. Like Wahida said, the members lead the work that we do as national. And like Melanie said, we move as a collective. We are a circle of women women with an X, okay? Because we come with all different identities and backgrounds and cultures that really shape this movement. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate you so much. Y'all go ahead and give a hand clap, a round of applause, drop the hearts in the chat for our panelists. And I'm gonna pass it back to Barb and Aisha to close us out. Thank you.
Oh, thank you everyone for joining us for an amazing celebration of our 15 years. We have had amazing panelists and amazing facilitators who have shared both where we've come from and where we're going with PWN. Wanted to just remind everybody that today is the International Women's Day, and the saying for that is embrace equality. That is what PWN stands for, and we are so glad to be with you in honor of National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day on this International Women's Day, because we know that through our work together, we are stronger. Through our community, we have resonance and vibrancy and love, and we have this together. And Aisha, I just want to see if you had a last thought you wanted to leave us with.
No, that's pretty much what I was gonna say. You know, thank you all. This was such a rich conversation, and I'm so happy that I was here and a part of it. I want to just also say that to celebrate the event today for National Women's Day, basically they're asking that everybody hug themselves and to embrace equity. So you start by embracing yourself. And I really think that is so true, because oftentimes, you know, even a lot of the stigma that we face is based on people not being comfortable in themselves and them having entitlement and contentment and joy because they feel like, you know, they've done everything right. So they're, you know, they deserve that joy and they deserve that contentment, but we also do too. And I just want everybody to know that, again, we're so happy that you're able, well, our panels mostly, everybody else. But I definitely want to thank our panelists for joining us today. It was really beautiful conversation, and everybody who was able to join us and come on, we are really grateful for your attendance. And that's pretty much it from PWN. Thank you.
Go Dandelions.
Can we get a closing song? Somebody, anybody? Oh, before we do a song, I just want to say that don't forget, March 10th, this Friday, is National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. Please look out for events happening with some of our partner organizations. And, you know, if you can attend webinars, physical events, please do so and show your solidarity. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Much love to everybody. I am being kicked out of the classroom that I managed to steal for a while. So I will see you all later. Thank you. Be safe. Much love to everybody.
Love you all. You're all my sisters and my family and all that. You guys are everything.
Yes.
You guys
Yes,
you always keep me feel better when I see you guys. I could be down and about, hopeless. And when I see any of your faces or see your names